and welcome to the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of June 3rd. I'm Terry Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
For a weekly episode to talk about parenting in a roundabout way, along with a little pop culture. So last week we were talking about home improvements, and I think I mentioned that, you know, the houses on either side of us have been freshly painted or sided and look all spiffy. And that ours is the sort of dingy one in the middle. And also that people often come by the house offering to fix things that we didn't know needed to be fixed. And they probably don't, but now that's in our heads.
Right.
Yesterday, very nice gentleman knocks on the door and says, "Hey, I'm going to be doing some work on your neighbor's house to keep them free of bugs. We're going to do a complete treatment to keep the bugs out. They're not having problems with bugs. No, but they just want to keep the bugs out. Do you want us to do that to your house too?" And of course, no, I do not. But at the same time, if the neighbor's doing it, you know where the bugs are going to be coming next. Okay? They knock on the door. They can't get in there. They think, "Look at that dingy place next door. I bet they got cracks. I bet they don't have poison all over their house. Let's go." So I expect ants and whatever other horrible things they've treated against to be knocking on our door. Well, not going to be knocking on our door, to be keeping the mice company in our kitchen.
Oh, boy.
I wonder if like ants would drive the mice out. I wonder if the mice would just go, "Oh, forget it. This is ridiculous." Did they spray for mice next door?
Or the other way around.
Yeah. Maybe they'll all become good friends. We also have many large bits of wildlife in our backyard. A groundhog family is having a good time this spring, frolicking on our grass. So that's where things are at my house. How is your house shaping up with your mulch and your paint?
Well,
and your college kid home?
Yeah, the painting is ongoing. The mulching is ongoing, and little progress has been made in the past.
The mulching
week.
is ongoing.
I mean, the boys, the college student and his friends, spent several hours working on it, and got to maybe a third of the pile.
As you say, several hours does not seem sufficient for a mountain of mulch.
No, yeah, they took care of like a third of the pile, but it's been raining a lot since then, so it's been hard to continue working on it. Well,
only thing more fun than mulch is wet mulch.
Yeah, exactly. I did some, mulch preparatory weeding. I did a whole bunch of that so that more mulch could be spread in the areas that I pulled a bunch of weeds from. So anyway, yeah, it's definitely still ongoing. And
so we just let our yard go completely to seed with no planning whatsoever. It's so much easier.
Yeah, it is easier that way, isn't it?
Yes. We get that that's why the wildlife love our yard so much, because it just seems like, well, this doesn't belong to anybody. I guess we can move in.
Yeah.
Though the city did send out a strongly worded email recently saying that your grass must be under 6 inches. If it's over 6 inches, you will get a court date and a citation.
Ooh.
So our grass is under, but they also unfortunately mentioned hedges, and our hedges are kind of freeform.
Yes.
So we may be in trouble.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's an ongoing, I feel like that mulch is going to be with us for the rest of the summer. And some of it's on top. I realized sort of later that some of it's on the grass. So now there's going to be dead grass under there.
Oh, no.
So that's
dear.
Nice. But in other news, my college student did manage to excavate the floor of his bedroom that had been completely covered with clothes and other
the teenage detritus. Boy equivalent of mulch.
Yes, exactly. So he did do that, which was very exciting.
Yay!
Yeah,
excellent.
Came up with like 3 garbage bags full of clothes to donate. acquired a little bookshelf on
Wow.
which to put all the books that he likes to acquire and not necessarily
Yes.
read. So,
Like the book about making your own sandals would be one of those.
yes,
Very interesting.
exactly.
That is the definition of an acquire but not read book.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, some improvements
Good for
and
him. That's good.
some stalled progress, I would
Yes.
say, is where we're at right now.
I bet there's a handyman service of some kind you could call to come and just dispatch the mulch. for a
Yeah,
price.
although last year or maybe not last year, but whatever previous time we tried to do this, I believe my husband did make efforts to find somebody like a landscaping company.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're booked. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
It was actually hard to find.
Yeah.
So
That would be
we'll
a
see.
good business for some like motivated college guys to just
Yes.
start a we will spread your mulch business.
Right.
There used to be like a college guy moving company, right?
Yeah,
They
and
would hire-
painting.
Yeah.
So I think that
They don't
some
make
of that
college
is
guys
still
like
around.
they used to.
Yeah.
Although you have a college guy who excavated his floor, so
Mhm.
go.
Yes.
Go do the mulch now, son.
Right. Well, shall we move on to other forms
Ripley
of...
might do himself well to go someplace and spread mulch and just stay out of the public eye for a little
Just
while.
lay low. Well, so
Does
yes,
he know how to lay low? We shall see.
we'll find out. Because in this episode of Ripley, it was
Yeah.
called Macabre Entertainment, which I don't know. I didn't quite get that one as much as some of the others, but
Yeah.
Tom
little strange.
makes his way to Sicily and he feels the net closing in around him.
Yes.
So he first departs his fancy hotel for a cruddy one.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the episode, he has gotten himself to Venice and he seems quite pleased with himself. So
Well, he's gone back to
apparently-
being Tom Ripley, too, I think.
yeah,
Even though that's going
apparently
to cause problems.
he has a plan as
I hope he does. Well, he told the desk guy at the crappy hotel that he was going to Tunis, right?
yes. And
knowing that guy probably gave him up before, so that information will get to the police,
exactly.
and then he went someplace else.
Well, then he went back to Rome to acquire some stuff from
Seemed
the
risky.
apartment.
Yeah.
Then he skedaddled to Venice.
Yes.
And meanwhile, Marge now is being interrogated because she truthfully has said that she has seen Tom and poor
And also that she hates his living guts,
right.
or perhaps his dead guts, is what the policeman thinks.
Exactly. So now the police are like, "What's your story, Marge?" And no, you can't go home. You can't leave your
Marge.
little room in Ravini, even though you've now got a fridge. We've noticed.
Yeah. And then the detective turns down the ice. She goes to all the effort to get
Right.
the ice out. But at least we know the fridge is getting used. That's lovely.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that the detective wants to put Marge behind bars just for the stairs.
Yeah.
He was not happy with all the stairs. It's like, she made me climb stairs and go through a wild goose chase trying to find this guy. We're going to find some reason to put her in jail.
Yes.
That was fun. But it's like so many opportunities. I think they made a point to show all the opportunities there were for somebody to see a bleeping photo of
A
Dickie,
photo, exactly.
which would have cleared everything up immediately.
Right.
But no. The detective is very clever, but not clever enough to say, do you have a photo of you with these people?
Right.
Or just like, who's this on the table?
I know. I
Who
thought
is this a picture of, pray tell?
I was like, maybe they would tell her, like, pick up your stuff and bring it with you to Rome.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so that you can keep working on your book while you're there.
Right.
But
Right. Oh, then he
it
sends
was
her
not
home
to be.
on the train and the bus.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We'll have to take the train.
He was not happy with her.
No.
Most
Poor.
innocent of the lot,
That's right. Poor Marge.
but also unable to let things go. In truly, as the truth as we know it, her boyfriend was killed. He didn't really leave her. So she's bereaved and completely innocent. But,
Right. But when she sends Dickie a letter being like, I got it. Like, fine, we're broken up now. And Tom's just like grinning, like he just won the lottery. Like, yeah, that was a good outcome for you. That's for sure.
Oh, my. Hard to see how he gets away with stuff from here when he's in a situation where you always need to show a passport. Can't he forge himself another passport, though apparently not as good a forger as he thought if his checks were questionable.
Right.
Or his endorsement of the checks were questionable.
Right.
He shook his confidence for about 30 seconds.
I know. He needs, I thought maybe he would go to Tunis and then he could, just kind of fade away over there. But I guess, he needs to like hire a boat to take him across a border.
Yeah.
Privately so that they won't.
He needs to get out of the country, but cannot under normal means. A balloon, perhaps.
Yes.
We'll get into that more.
Force of nature. Oh my goodness.
Oh dear. It's hard to see how he gets out of this, and yet somehow I sense that he does.
Yes. Well, we only have one more episode for him to do so.
We got to see the cat one more time. Probably the last time for the cat, but still.
Right.
Landlady was out, but the cat was still there. See, I would say that wherever he goes, whatever he does, he should take everything that he wants to have with him, because he shouldn't have to go back to the apartment, because if anybody sees him there,
I know,
he's going straight to the detective.
Right.
But he's a confident fella. He gets it done.
That's right.
In this episode, I would like to continue my music report. The subtitles said at one point, ominous music continues. You bet it does. Moody music continues. Yep. And let's see, there was intriguing music at one point. And then at the end, when he's in Venice with a satisfied smile on his face, jovial waltz music playing.
That's right. I did turn on the captions just to see that. Yes. Jovial. So. Indeed, it was.
So for the moment, Tom is in a jovial waltz kind of mood.
He sure is.
Will it last? Will it last? We don't know, but it's fun.
Well, shall we move on to the other end of the spectrum?
Wouldn't it be fun? Let's to see like Tom Ripley trying to woo the rich young ladies of Bridgerton.
Yeah,
have himself a good time.
I like girls. Remember, he said that. Good job.
all the young gentlemen would step away when he did that, but he could probably woo himself Cressida somewhere,
or a Featherington before
he would pretend to be Lord Greenleaf, and they would all flutter about him.
They sure would.
Yes, wouldn't it be a come down when they find out he's just a commoner? Lady Whistledown would be all over it.
She would see right through him, I think. Well, so this was episode 3 called Forces of Nature.
Yes.
We had the force of the wind blowing this balloon almost into Penelope, and we had the force of Colin's, sudden realization after these many years, like, oh, Penelope.
Yes. Did he get hit over the head or something? We could have arranged that. I would have been quite happy to. But, just looking at her dramatically across the room,
Yeah.
Let's move on here, Bella.
Right.
Come on.
So we have our little like decoy suitor for Penelope, who seems like a great guy, but we know he's not long for this world.
Do we wish him on Cressida? I don't know.
No, I wish
he'll be away on expeditions most of the time. So,
right.
But he seems far too nice for that.
Yeah, I definitely.
This is a complication. It's like, because we know where Penelope's going to end up, but he seems like a nice fella. And you know what? He could set you up in a big house with a lot of books and then leave you on your own.
Right.
Not the worst possibility for a woman in that particular.
Maybe he and Eloise need to get together.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I mean, there's plenty of eligible ladies,
yes.
And I think they would get along. But then, of course, Cressida wouldn't be happy, but that's fine. We don't need her to be happy, and we don't need her to be friends with Eloise.
Yes. No. They tried to drum up a little sympathy for her with her mother saying that the father is, although, having to wear the same dress twice in a season.
Oh, goodness.
The social horror of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And Benedict found something to do. That's nice. Is I wonder if they're setting up for next season there. I
know. I was like, oh my gosh. Now Mrs. Mama Bridgerton has 4 kids that she's trying to.
I know. Plus, when she has herself a little love interest, it looks like.
Exactly. And it's Lady Danbury's brother.
Yes, who she does not appear to care for. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's like there are too many plots in this season. Mm-hmm. So, please
eliminate 3.
Exactly. We've eliminated extraneous Bridgertons, and there are still too many plots.
There's still way too many Bridgertons.
That's true.
Yeah, and then there's non-Bridgerton plots as well, because there's the newly crowned couple, and there's Mother Featherington trying to make sure her dingus daughters and sons-in-law figure out what to do.
Yeah, we could cut that one away. It'd be fine.
Although
just let us imagine. Amusing. We know they're idiots, and anybody who would marry them has to be an idiot. So
right. Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Let's move things along here, shall we? Come on. Francesca appears to have found what she's looking for in a man, which is somebody who doesn't talk. So.
Right. And I was waiting for them to be like, oh, we can't be alone out here together. And, because that was already a plot like in both of the other seasons, like multiple times. Yeah. So I guess I'm glad that they didn't return to that yet again.
But you have to wonder, because she's like the queen's favorite with all eyes on her. You would think somebody would be in the shadows raising an eyebrow.
Being like,
but
I mean, she did skip away pretty quickly after some meaningful gazing.
Aw, well,
he seemed like a nice guy, so let's hope for the best.
Yes. And what else? I noticed at the very beginning, it said this is rated TVMA for nudity, sex, and smoking.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of the first 2. I guess people smoke. That's not something I've noticed, but okay.
Yeah, like, are we sure that wasn't Ripley? There's more smoking in that.
Much
for
smoking
sure.
there. Much black and white smoking.
Right.
You can see the smoke wafting up from various cigarettes and ashtrays.
Right. Was there a pipe at some point? I don't know. Good question.
Maybe. It just seems like for this show, 2 of those things are way out of proportion of whatever the other one would be. So,
right.
All righty.
Yes.
These first 4 episodes are setting up a bunch of stuff that I assume are going to pay off in the second 4.
Right.
But it's kind of a lot of run up. I think I have heard on Twitter that stuff happens in episode 4. So
I would imagine it does,
Since-
just to get us to make sure we come back for this second half.
I'm also seeing a lot of people very unhappy they couldn't just binge all 8 at once.
Well, it's like opening all your presents before Christmas.
Yeah, you'll be glad when you get them and you have that joy of watching the next 4 in a row. But we shall continue to meet them out. Just because we're grown-ups. We have self-control. We do not eat all the delicious bonbons immediately.
It is sometimes hard for me to not keep going.
Not skip on to the next.
Yes. But
you can find out pretty much everything you want to know if you just go on Twitter and, hashtag Bridgerton.
No, I don't want to know.
You can spoil yourself like crazy.
It's not about spoiling. It's just that, I just want to keep watching. I can't, because then I will not be able to discuss it appropriately. I will.
We could just record anytime. We could have watched all 4 of them and just talked about one each. And listener, how do you know we don't?
Right. From the professional nature of our work.
Yes. We take our podcast that nobody listens to very seriously.
That's right.
Our responsibility to our listener is, it's not something that we break. So
That's right.
we sacrifice for you, whoever you are, and all the porn bots that are listening.
Exactly. So,
kids, don't smoke. All right. So that brings us to something that I'm going to hope has neither nudity nor sex nor smoking, which is Catherine's Library Find of the Week.
That's right. It does not. This week.
Is it in beautiful black and white? No, it's not.
No, it's got illustrations by Roz Chast, the cartoonist. This is a book. It came out way back in 2016. It's called The African Svelte, Ingenious Misspellings That Make Surprising Sense. And it's just all about those silly,
yes,
misunderstandings, mistakes, people saying for all intensive purposes instead of intense and purposes and things like that. And then it has these clever drawings by Roz Chast to go with it.
Fun.
So it just looks like a lot of fun. I guess not a great audiobook format, which we know Terry loves.
Yes.
But you need to look at this so that you can see the pictures.
Yes.
But it's quite charming.
Those of us who have copy edited for a living will have seen most of these in the wild.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, another examples are windshield factor instead of wind chill factor. My husband's grandmother was such a lovely person, and she grew up, raised by first generation Italian. Like she was the first generation born in the US, I think, of her family. So they spoke some Italian at home, but they mostly spoke English. But she had a few things that she would say, and one of them was instead of beeline, she would say beehive. Like she would say, that cat took a beehive toward the toward the mouse or whatever. Instead of made a beeline, it would be take a beehive. I loved it.
Yes.
That was my favorite one.
Yeah. I generally do kind of love the sort of genuine misunderstanding of an expression or misstating of it by people who it's just that's the way they've heard it or that's the way they processed it, or we've all had that experience of reading something in a book and not knowing how it's pronounced or not knowing quite what it means, and then trying to use that word and winding up in a book where a famous cartoonist makes fun of you. But they can be sort of delightfully charming as well as
right.
you'll probably find yourself using some of these expressions after you've read this book, just because it's funny.
Yeah.
You've had that with your kids. Your kids will say something slightly wrong, and then it becomes the way the family says it.
Right. And you never want to see it go.
And then at some point you forget the right way. And you just way yourself.
Yes. It's delightful.
Yes, it is. Well, this looks like a really fun book. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. What a funny idea.
Perhaps you should get it at your library.
That's right.
For that is where I discovered it.
Check it out and check it out.
That's right. Well, shall we now check out, speaking of libraries and archives,
yes,
a spin through our own archives and see what we were talking about. Yes. Let's see what we were talking about 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and 6 years ago this week.
My goodness, so long ago.
So 3 years ago, it was life lessons we'd like to see. And it was about, how sure you can teach your kid how to drive or wash dishes or whatever it is, but there's so many other adultish things that they need to know. And sometimes we had an experience with one of our children, let's just say, where they were in a little fender bender. And it was in a parking lot, so the other driver was not present. And they didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
And so they didn't do anything, which was a problem.
Yeah.
It later came to light and was resolved. But, it's like that whole, well, if this happens, this is what you do. Like, it's not something you necessarily think to say, or it's something you may not want to say it, because we've talked about that before here. Like, you don't want to kind of manifest it by saying, like, just in case, I don't want you to need to know this, but you also need to know it in case. Yeah.
There should be like a manual you can keep in, say, the glove compartment of your car.
Right.
Where you don't look at it, don't read it, don't look at it. But if you get any sort of problem, pull it out, go to the index, find your problem, and it will tell you what to do.
Right.
Somebody should write that. Somebody probably has. But yeah, I'm always thinking that when my kids are away from home. What if this happened? What if that happened? Would they know what to do? What would they do?
Right.
It's a very nice thing now that everybody has cell phones, because I think what they probably do is call me and say, what do I do?
Right.
And then
which I wish is what would have happened.
I live in fear of getting that phone call every time anybody's out of the house also.
Right.
But yeah, it's impossible to think of every possibility.
Right.
It's a terrifying thing of parenthood, even parenting adults, is that you can't warn them, and you don't want to warn them, but you want them to know what to do, but you can't tell them what to do.
Right.
The thing I think I was dealing with when we recorded this was that my daughter had a problem with her insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to talk her through, well, you have to call and you have to tell them this, and you have to call and you have to do this. And she kept doing it and she kept getting rebuffed. And so finally I had to take the phone and yell at this person, and then it was solved.
Yeah.
So how do you teach somebody to do that?
Exactly.
That is, formed by, not my entire life, but let's say
quite a bit of experience.
45 years of getting my way with things over the phone. I mean, there was turned out to be a very simple way to explain it that made it sound like something they wanted to fix. But there was no way my daughter would have come up with that. I kind of just came up with it during the conversation.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you teach that other than hard, painful experience. But if they could have a class in a class in self-advocacy at high school would be a really good idea, except then it would be like how to get the teacher to change your grade. No, the teachers don't want to teach that. How to convince the school that you should be able to get this service. No, they're not going to want to teach you that.
Right.
So, how to decide who you want to vote for. Well, they're going to want to teach you that, but not the right way. So it's like adulting skills, but adulting skills that are not they're highly situational.
Yes, that's it. Mm-hmm.
That's the problem.
Right.
And so therefore you have to like build the muscles.
Mm-hmm.
We still go through stuff like that. And I don't think that the teachings I've applied in one area apply immediately to the other area. Sadly.
Yeah. Right.
So the answer is just have your mother fight your battles for you for your whole life. Okay. I'm sure she doesn't mind. Her blood pressure is only 190 over, 120. It'll be fine. She
has nothing else to do.
And she has nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. So, but man.
I did learn something through my day job that
the library has a book on the subject?
No, it was my other day job.
Oh, your other day job. Okay.
That I passed on to my daughter, which is that, so she's been in a off-campus apartment townhouse for the last 3 years. And this complex where she lives, they require renter's insurance, which is great. Like, I never did that when I was renting, and that was dumb. Like, it's a good thing that I didn't need it. So anyway, they make them have it. And now this summer she's moving out of that complex, but I learned you can just transfer it. Like, all you have to do is just say, oh, okay, this is my address now. I'm moving.
Yeah.
And just obviously keep paying for it. But I didn't know that. Like, that seems suspiciously easy. But then I was like, you have to, I told her that she had to do it. She's like, okay, I don't like adulting. I'm like, well, yeah, none of us do.
Yeah. Nobody does.
It's like having to have an emergency contact. It's part of being an adult. That was what we were talking about. What was that? 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
And in that case, it was actually in reference to our pets.
Yeah.
Because I think it was me that, we were going somewhere and we were putting the dogs at the kennel. We were boarding them and you had to have an emergency contact. And I was like, I don't want anybody else to have to deal with that.
Yeah. It's mostly a theoretical responsibility, but
the minute it's
possible,
not,
you might have to do something.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, sure, you can put me down as the emergency contact for your kids. And then the one time the kid is sick, I don't have a car. And now I have to call you up and say, I can't help. You have to send somebody else.
Yep.
Ay.
Yeah, we had like a month ago or so, we were going to see a show on my son's campus. And it's a couple hours drive, but we were just going to leave the dogs, feed them, and then they were going to be fine by themselves for that amount of time. They would just sleep. But then our son was like, oh, do you want to have dinner before? And of course, your kid makes that suggestion. You're not gonna be like, oh no, we don't. We don't have time to come. So we were like, oh, sure. So I texted my neighbor and I said, can you just, come over and feed the dogs? We'll put the food out, just put it on the floor and leave the back door open, and so they can go in and out for a little while and then come back and close the door. So they can't really be unattended in the backyard. And she said, oh, sure, I can do that. I'm going to a funeral later, but I'll do it after. And I said, thank you so much. And then we took off and, had a nice time. Didn't have to worry about the dogs the whole time we were gone.
Yeah.
Come back at like midnight. The food is still sitting on the counter. We're like, oh no. Yeah. She forgot because the funeral, turned out to be very emotional. And I was like, these dogs are fine. Trust me. Like they can miss a meal. They They're fine. And then
They're
later,
going to be blaming you for it for weeks, though.
she, apologized profusely, of course. And, but then later I was talking to her, and I kept telling her it was fine. It was fine. Don't worry about it. The dogs are totally fine. And then another time we were talking about it, and she said her mother had also totaled her car that day.
Oh, no.
So it was like, oh my goodness, of course you didn't do it. And
yeah.
So,
gosh.
But we should have driven them to another state to their cousin's house, I guess.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we're doing again when we go for our Special Olympics weekend. Layla is going to stay with her cousin Allie, and they will have a grand time.
They will.
So I don't have to feel guilty about it, because it's both a favor to us that they're watching her, but also they're happy to have somebody who likes to play with their dog, because their dog doesn't have any friends either. So this is like an opportunity to give their dog a playmate for a few days. So that makes me feel better about it, that it's not entirely one way. They're getting something out of it too. But I remember when I was a kid, we would go away for a week, 2 weeks. We never put the dog anywhere. A neighbor kid came over and fed the dog. You paid the neighbor kid a little bit of money to go by, feed your dog, take your newspaper in, bring in the mail. And that was just, I think the dog was outside the entire time. This was in California, so it's not like she was buried under a foot of snow, but she was just out in the yard, and that was what you did with dogs back in the 60s, I guess.
Right.
But now it's like, oh, you have to take them to the kennel, or you have to get somebody to come feed them. Or, if you do that, never know, they might forget. You better just take them to someplace or put them someplace. We would never think of just leaving the dog here for somebody to come tend to, even though she would be completely fine. Yeah. Unless the mice in the kitchen decided to gang up and terrorize her. No, it would be fine. But I feel like you would get called by some, animal services would come by to check that you left your dog unattended for 2 weeks. Just coming in and peeking in on them and throwing them some kibble. So emergency contacts become more important.
I know.
Who were you a good enough friend with to say, could you please come open a can?
Right.
It was the way kids made money back then.
I know. Yeah,
I did take over to the Five and Dime and buy candy. Where are we supposed to get that money now?
Right.
Are there still 5 and Dimes? I don't think. Dollars, I guess, is where you get your candy now. I got my candy at TG and Y right before my dance classes, which is why I was always the pudgiest kid in dance class. But not a svelte ballerina was I. Too much Laffy Taffy from the TG and I. But it's delicious. It's also why I have 20 cavities in my mouth right now. Mouthful of fillings. Spending well the spare change I made.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I remember that I wasn't a little kid, but I was, I was like probably college age or something. But this was in the brief time that my family lived in California, and we had neighbors that, I used to babysit. That's what it was. I babysat for their kid, and then they went away. And so they said, can you come and I must have had a cat or something, feed the cat, take, the usual. Yeah. And that one time I went over there and there were ants everywhere, because they were the kind of ants that they're looking for water. Like they're not looking for food. Right. And so there was just like a line of ants, room to room to room to room, trying to get to the bathroom.
It would be impressive if it were not so horrifying.
Yes, exactly. Like they just keep going. And I'm sure I had to go home and tell my parents, what do I do? There's ants everywhere.
What did you do?
I don't remember. I mean, I probably sprayed or something. Yeah.
Your contract did not specify ant. You just promised to take care of the cat, not the ants.
Right.
But if you put down the cat's bowl, the ants are going to go into it. So.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh. I mean, ants individually aren't creepy at all, but just the number and movement of them is just, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Huge moving band.
Right.
Well, you would grant those ants their privacy, would you?
That's right. Yes. So way back in 2018, we were talking about privacy when you're sharing a home with teens and young adults. And as we've now established, some of them are possibly beyond young adults.
Yes.
Yes. So you're navigating a new type of privacy because you have the downstairs apartment dweller.
Right. So part of the reason for that was to give her some privacy. And I think that's working out well. She likes that, and she comes up when she wants to, and she stays down when she wants to. And as long as she keeps her door closed, I can't hear what she's saying to people. Or if she's talking in her bedroom. But if she's in the living room with the TV on loud talking to somebody, I can generally hear it. So, but then that's on her. So she has her opportunities for privacy. And I think it's good. And we have a little more privacy because my son just mostly stays in his room. So, my husband and I can just kiss at random times without somebody going, "Oh, stop that. That's gross."
Gross. How dare you?
Much less opportunity for that.
Right.
So, so that's been nice. That's been an improvement, I think. And, but still, you got to be careful what you talk about just out in the open.
Right.
Less of a feeling of ears pressed against doors, but just, you don't want to just in the middle of the hallway, right by the stairs, be having a loud argument about something. So
right.
That's still a thing in my house, is that people don't like arguments. People don't like raised voices. And I mean, I don't like it either. Sometimes I boil over. Sometimes my husband gets sharp. And it would be nice if this didn't just tumble down the Jenga tower of our family every single time.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't really mean anything. I just felt mad and I yelled. It doesn't mean anything. You don't have to be in a panic right now. It's just steam. Just, it's to be in some place where you can't occasionally just yell is very difficult.
Yes, for sure. And it just makes it worse, because it's still in there.
It's like you can't go outside and yell because people will look at you funny.
Right.
We need to have like a soundproof chamber or something. Because just, I don't like raised voices either, so I understand that. But sometimes, you just gotta let it out.
Right.
I do. So, how could we do that? I wonder if somebody sells some sort of capsule that one can go into and just scream for a minute or two and feel better without the children looking like.
Yeah, absolutely panicked.
Yes.
Like those, have you seen those like hooded things that sort of like a hood pillow combination that you're supposed to wear on an airplane? Like so that you can sleep on a plane. I picture it like that.
Yeah. Like, except with the padding over the mouth too. I don't know. Exactly. Oh, I always say my son is like a tuning fork. When there's stress in the area, he just starts to vibrate, and I'm like, "Oh, buddy,
it's fine."
Oh. Maybe go outside for a few minutes.
Right.
Oh,
take the dog out.
So bad. I feel so bad because I know and I understand, and I'm always telling my husband, you can't yell like that because, our kids neurologically, it's a problem. And then I yell, and everybody has the same look on their face, and I'm like, oh crap!
Right. Can only do so much.
I need to have a rating stamped on my forehead. Mom/MA may yell.
Right.
So we need to have a lot more privacy. There's a little closet here now in the office, but it has a wall it shares with my son's room. He'd be able to hear me. I need to find a closet that's out of the way that we could like pad. Right. That could just be Mom's screaming closet.
Exactly.
Where's Mom? You don't want to know. She'll come out when she's ready.
It's like a she shed, but it's
That's right. Yeah, a she shed would do it because then I'd be completely out of the house.
I feel like it would still need padded walls.
I need to have a place like on a beach somewhere that's 20 flight of stairs up, and then that'll probably be fine. I wonder if Marge is.
And do not employ any suspicious maids.
That's right. Suspicious maids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just enjoying well, we're back on that show, but
right.
We'll go back to that. But just
we're always on that show.
Yes. The casting call that went out for a wide variety of desk guys, Italian desk guys. Each one has to have a separate personality. Mm-hmm. That one dude just never stopped smiling, even though as you felt he was sizing Tom up. He just he had a smile on his face.
Right, exactly.
I wish I could be that one. It'd be great to just smile all the time, even when inside you're going, I know you're a murderous psychopath, but hey. Anyway, well, we will give you back your privacy now, listeners.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to listen to us yammer and feel nervous and upset or happy and like you know too much about us because we talk too much. Anyway, we will say that is it for the Parenting Roundabout Weekly Roundup. Next week, we will talk about Ripley, episode 8, the last one, at least for now.
That's right.
Will it end with Tom behind bars? Doubtful, but we shall see.
Yes.
The name of that one is Narcissus. And then we will watch Bridgerton Season 3, Episode 4, the last of the first batch, which is called Old Friends. That sounds promising. But we know we got to have something a little cliffhangery there for the second 4, which are coming very soon.
Dropping on June 13th. So we should be able to just roll right in.
Roll right in. Okay. So you can find all our episodes on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. You can also talk to us on our Facebook page, on Instagram, or on Twitter, where you'll find us at Roundabout Chat. And please visit our Amazon shop at amazon.com/shop/mamitude, where you can find links to a lot of the things we've talked about over the years. We'll see you back here next Tuesday. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terry.
Bye, everybody.